I'm just tired of asking the answer always the same. Brothers want something to happen and we must step up for change. I'm tired.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair?
I'm tired.
Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
But we just playing the game and we don't know none of the rules. That's how we acquiesce, end up with less and look like some fools. I'm tired.
Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose?
I'm tired.
And the shape of your lips?
Yo, what's good, my fellow intellectuals? Yo, we here today and we're about to get into this first book. It's your boy Zach London and I am the Black Academic. So, 2020, it's crazy. It's been an election year, right? So, a lot of crazy things have happened this year, as I'm pretty sure you all are aware of if you're watching this video. So, a lot of people most likely have had some questions. A lot of information has been given out there, but I'm sure by now, if you're watching this video or anybody else, you've realized things are kind of cyclic. Things keep on happening, and it seems like the past keeps repeating itself, right? Well, personally, I believe that if the past repeats itself, then there must be somebody who's already put some answers out there, right? Therefore, I should learn from antiquity. The book that I chose for our first book that we're going to expound and touch base with one another and want some knowledge together is Black Power by Kwame Ture and Charles V. Hamilton. Now, some of you guys might know Kwame Ture as Stokely Carmichael. He actually changed his name when he got in contact and influenced by Kwame Nkrumah and Ahmed Sekou Toure. You put Kwame and Ture, Kwame Ture. Ta-da! So, I don't want to make this video long. I really just want to get straight to the facts, and I want to relate it to how we can pull some of these answers from the past to today. I believe anybody that's Black or anybody in general that's looking to build with their community, to empower one another, to create the ability to manifest and cultivate the things that you really want to see in society, read this book if you are somebody who wants that. If you are somebody that wants to play in this political game, keyword, game, okay? Understand, game's already rigged, but there's loopholes. There's answers that can help you get to where you want to be, and this is one of them. So without further ado, let's check this out. All right, so we here now, folks. We back in this thing. Black Power, The Politics of Liberation. Again, it's by Kwame Ture, FKA, Stokely Carmichael, and Charles V. Hamilton. Now, our two authors. All right, so here's our two authors. We got Kwame Ture that's on the left, and we have Charles Hamilton on the right. Now, Kwame Ture, or Stokely Carmichael, was a U.S. civil rights activist, a worldwide human rights activist, who in the 60s originated the Black nationalism rallying slogan, Black Power. Born in Trinidad, he immigrated to New York City in 1952. And while he attended Howard University, he joined SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and he was actually jailed for his work with the Freedom Riders. Now, on our other side, we have Charles Hamilton. He was a political scientist. He went to Roosevelt University and got his master's from the University of Chicago. He taught at the Tuskegee Institute, University of Chicago, Rutgers University, Lincoln University, and Columbia University. So I'm pretty sure this brother knows something. All right, so before I really get into this, I want to actually play something by Kwame Ture.
Now I have a few minutes, only 5, so if you'll allow me, maybe I can say a number of things that needs to be said in this country. That needs to be said in this country. And that's what I want to talk about. Now I want to talk to Black people across this country. I want to talk to Black people across this country. There are 4 things we have to do. Number 1, we have to stop being ashamed of being Black. We've got to stop being ashamed of being Black. Number 2, we have to move into a position where we can define terms for what we want them to be, not what racist white society wants it to be. We have to move to define. We have to move to a position where we can feel strength and unity amongst each other from Watts to Harlem, where we won't ever be afraid. And the last thing we have to do is to build a power base so strong in this country that will bring them to their knees every time they mess with us.
So everything that brother just now said was defined and encapsulated in this book, okay? So, for instance, not being ashamed of being black, moving to defining your own reality, moving with one another to empower one another and everything, so that you ain't got to worry about police shooting up your crib when you sleeping. Breonna Taylor. So let's continue to move on. So leading up to Black Power, right? So, and nothing happens without a ball rolling, right? So we had the Civil War. Now we know that slavery never really got abolished. We know that the Emancipation Proclamation did not actually free the enslaved people. We took that freedom. Lincoln could never give freedom to somebody else. And slavery is not abolished because we still have the prison industrial complex. We still have sex slaves, or people being sold into that today, still across the globe. And we actually need to be more conscious of that. So we know that that didn't necessarily change the discrimination against Black people because it continued all the way until 2020. Now we have Jim Crow laws. Now everybody should know about Jim Crow laws, where basically this empowered white people to a higher standard. This actually helped establish the subjugation of us as a people, where we can't even drink the same water. This established having the mindset that, as they say, white people's ice is colder. But we know that's false. So moving on. So we had Plessy versus Ferguson, so separate but equal, which we know wasn't true. We had the Red Summer of 1919. And if you don't know about this, this is when a whole bunch of white people beat up a whole bunch of Black people, literally. That's why it was called the Red Summer. It was white rage rioting. And this is all in retaliation of Black progression, or Black people just trying to thrive. Now, somebody may ask me at some point, why do you know that's because of Black progression? You think that all this happened because of Black people? Well, in this classroom, we're going to actually touch on the books that actually prove that. I'm just not there yet. And this is the first one. So we have the murder of many people up until this point. Okay. I actually want to give some facts behind some of these people's names, because I don't want to just say names, because these people had full lives. They had stories, they had families, they had children. These are real life people that are not names in a history book. Okay. So first we have May 7th, 1955. And please, if you're in Mississippi, forgive me because I don't know how to say this, but Belzoni, Mississippi, Reverend George Lee, he was one of the first Black people registered to vote in Humphreys County. He used his pulpit and his printing press to urge others to vote. White officials offered Lee protection on the condition he end his voter registration efforts, but Lee refused and he was later murdered. Um, and just for those that are wondering where I got these facts from, I actually got them from the Southern Poverty Law Center. If you want to check it out, you can go to www.splc or splcenter.org. So again, facts. This isn't something that's only tied to emotion. It's facts here. So then we have after him, our brother Lamar Smith, August 13th, 1955, in Brookhaven, Mississippi. Lamar Smith was shot dead on the courthouse lawn by a white man in broad daylight while dozens of people watched. The killer was never indicted because no one would admit they saw a white man shoot a Black man. Smith had organized Blacks to vote in the recent election. Now, again, you see something going here: Black progression, Black people trying to vote. We kind of see a theme here. So then we have our great brother that you should know. If you do not, please look this up, because Emmett Till was the spark, the catalyst that started this movement, the civil rights movement. I won't say he started it alone, but he was a big catalyst, because at this time you did not see a 14-year-old look the way he looked after being tortured by basically demons. I'm gonna say demons because there's no way somebody in their right mind would sit there and do this to a 14-year-old boy. But I'm I'm gonna go into his story just in case you don't know, and please look him up. Emmett Lewis Till, a 14-year-old boy on vacation from Chicago. He reportedly, as we know now, he did not do this. The woman who actually stated this in her later years admitted he did not do this. Reportedly flirted with a white woman in a store. 3 nights later, 2 men took Till from his bed, beat him, shot him, and dumped his body in the Tallahatchie River. An all-white jury, a jury of your peers, all-white jury, an all-white jury found the men innocent of this murder. Again, this woman in her elderly years came out to say she lied. She lied. This 14-year-old boy died for nothing. September 25th, 1961, in Liberty, Mississippi. Again, a trend. Herbert Lee, who worked with civil rights leader Bob Moses to help register black voters, was killed by a state legislator who claimed self-defense and was never arrested. Lewis Allen, a black man who witnessed the murder, was also later killed. Then we have June 12th, 1963, Jackson, Mississippi. If you don't know this brother, you should, because it is said that he had the potential, or he was to be, even greater than Martin Luther King Jr. So we have Medgar Evers, who directed NAAC operations in Mississippi, was leading a campaign for integration in Jackson when he was shot and killed by a sniper at his home. This was in his driveway. September 15th, 1963, Birmingham, Alabama. This was the 16th Street church bombing. Again, if you have not heard of this, go look it up. I do not have enough time to go deeper into this, but there actually was a fourth member of this group that she actually lost her eye and is still living and hasn't gotten any reparations from this, like no help from this treacherous act of terrorism, domestic terrorism. So the 16th Street bombing, you had Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. They were getting ready for church service, and when a bomb exploded at the 16th Street Baptist Church, killing all 4 of the school-aged girls. The church had been a center for civil rights meetings and marches. Again, this is for Black progression. Everything's in retaliation to Black progression. These people are only here for civil rights meetings. Moving on, and I'm almost done, folks. I'm almost done. September 15, 1963, Birmingham, Alabama. You have Virgil Lamar Ware. He was 13, was riding on the handlebars of his brother's bicycle when he was fatally shot by white teenagers. The white youth had come from a segregationist rally held in the aftermath of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. So these folks sat there and came together after blowing up a church, had a rally, and then went out and go kill more people. February 26, 1965, Marion, Alabama. Jimmy Lee Jackson was beaten and shot by state troopers as he tried to protect his grandfather and mother from a trooper attack on civil rights marchers. His death led to the Selma Montgomery March and eventually passage of the Voting Rights Act. Now, I know this was a lot. I know it's a lot of information in a short time period, but please go look these people up on your own time period. I do this because I personally respect our elders. I respect anybody who has become a martyr. I respect anybody who has become a catalyst for our plight and our progression as a people. So we also have Claudette Colvin and Rosa Parks, who both later refused to get up off of a bus seat when back then you were actually supposed to, get up and move. Now, move for white people. Now, Claudette Colvin did this first, but if you know your history, you know that politics made it where she was not the desirable person for the civil rights leaders at this moment because she was of darker skin and she was also pregnant, whereas Rosa Parks wasn't. So no disrespect to Rosa Parks either. I believe more people need to actually look up her story because she was not some little old woman that was just sitting on a bus and was too tired to get up. So then, moving on. All of this, just all of this helped to create this. You have the sit-ins at Woolworth's lunch counter, which eventually led to the formation of SNCC. Now, February 1st, 1964, college students sparked the Greensboro sit-ins in North Carolina at Woolworth's lunch counter. Their efforts helped to bring about the formation of SNCC, which caught the attention of Kwame Ture, and he joined SNCC during the Freedom Summer of 1964. Now, when Kwame Ture is in the organization of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, he actually chronicles some of his experience in this book. Then we have the Malcolm X assassination. Now, if you guys are Kwame Ture fans, if and even if not, go look up his videos. Go look up the the personal record of this man and him speaking, the first person account of him talking about when they lost Malcolm and him talking to Martin Luther King Jr. And he's like, look, we lost Malcolm and I'm gonna continue trying this nonviolence thing, but if they take you out, I ain't gonna continue this nonviolence mess. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the brother said. Then you have the Watts Uprising. There were many more uprisings as well during this time. You know, there's Newark, Detroit. There's so many more that aren't necessarily put on the forefront, but here's the Watts Uprising. So here we get into Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, becoming the chair of SNCC, and he gave his famous speech coining the term Black Power. So let me move this out the way. So Black Power, published August 1967. Now, in Black Power, they have pointed out that this book is a political framework and ideology for us. Okay. This book is meant to help Black people take care of business and the business of and for Black people. This book is not a blueprint to end racism or for day-to-day use because the rules are always changing. That is key here. You can learn from this book. You can learn strategies and tactics, but it's not going to be day-to-day usage because every day brings something new. Now, one thing I personally have realized is that the energy of oppression continues. The energy of hate continues. It just takes different forms. So therefore, your answers are going to still be there, but they may take place or take a different form. So, quotes from the preface. So, we as a people, in order for us to get the right answers, we actually have to pose the right questions, which is put in there, this is where he gets to saying that we must start from premises rooted in truth and reality rather than myth. We can't decide to base our answers on hypotheticals. You know, we have to actually look at what is real, what's here now, what's present, reality. We can't, hypothetical hasn't happened yet. So how do I even know what to do or how to act, how to maneuver within that situation when it's never happened? So for instance, I don't think that anybody in this world can truly answer a question where people say, what would you do if this happened? Or what would you do if that happened? You don't know until you're in that moment. We Blacks must respond in our own way, on our own terms, in a manner which fits our temperaments. So again, going back to his video when he says we have to get back the power to define. Okay. Another quote here, we have anything less than clarity, honesty, forcefulness perpetuates the centuries of sliding over, dressing up, and soothing down the true feelings, hopes, and demands of an oppressed Black people. Mild demands and hypocritical smiles mislead white America into thinking that all is fine and peaceful. All right, so overall, we have to one, understand what the problem is. We can't actually think in hypotheticals, made up things. We actually have to know what the problem is so that we can get the answer. Two, we have to tell it like it is, as they say. We don't have the luxury to waste time and appease our oppressors and make them happy with the way that we progress. You know, nobody in a race is going to wait for you to catch up. That's just not how it works. Or you do what benefits you and is going to hinder me ever. Nobody ever says that. So we have to respond on our terms, not on their terms. In the last portion, he's basically saying we have to be clear. You can't sit there and tit tat around your liberation. Okay, so you can never actually just say, for instance, you can't have somebody beating you up and you say, oh yeah, that slap felt a lot better than that punch. Like, nah, you need to tell them, like, I don't like to be punched or slapped. I can't have it that way. So we have to speak forcefully and truthfully. We can't let them think that the way we're moving is okay. For instance, we say no justice, no peace, then we must mean that. We can't just say it and then next thing you know, we go back to peaceful ways. We actually have to mean it when we say no justice, no peace. We have to reject meaningless language as they put in the book, where people say things are bad, but we can't have it where people are saying your demands are legitimate, but, or be careful that you don't anger or alienate your white allies. No, because we've done that for years. And again, it's repeating itself. I want to end this with a quote that's in the book by Frederick Douglass, where he says, the whole history of the progress of human liberty shows that all concessions yet made to her august claims have been born of great struggles. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, and it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppose. Frederick Douglass. This is why this man is incredible. Okay, he literally put oppression all in a quote right here. And I really want to get to this book called The Pedagogy of Oppressed. That'll probably be the next book that I'll do. It really, this book actually gives an alley-oop to that book, really. A lot of what's in this book is another way of expressing what's in Pedagogy of Oppressed. It's just from somebody's actual account. This is from somebody's real life experience. In Pedagogy of the Oppressed, the author, he even says that, look, I've never done this, but in my years of study, I've realized this is how the pedagogy of oppression works, or the pedagogy of oppressed works. Whereas this is somebody with real life experience talking about it. Now, I don't I don't feel as though I will be able to express this in the most articulate manner. But as he says here, everything that's progression comes from struggle. You didn't learn how to ride a bike without falling off a few times. My personal self, I didn't get training wheels. My mom didn't teach me that way. I fell on gravel at my granny's house and I cried and I did not want to continue because my knees were getting scarred up. I was seeing blood come out my legs and everything. But my mama said, go ahead and continue. Don't give up. You're going to get it. And I eventually did. And I've never forgotten how to ride a bike. I struggled and now I'm here. You will see throughout history, anytime there was any type of progression, there was a struggle before it. And that will always continue. That is one of those axioms of life. So He goes into saying those who want freedom, but you don't want the work for it, or you don't want the agitation, the part that's going to make people uncomfortable. You don't really want freedom. How are you going to get the ocean without the water? Or how are you going to get the rain without the thunder and lightning? That doesn't work out that way. And you have to take both. You have to get the struggle part. You have to get the hard part to see those sunny days, He goes into saying that power concedes nothing without demand. And that is very true, because if you are an oppressed people, and again, if you're not telling it like it is, you're trying to appease your oppressor, you're trying to, fall into those deterrents of your success, it's never going to work out, because you have to demand it. Again, I said Lincoln did not free the enslaved. The enslaved freed themselves. They took that. He could never give that to them. So moving down, the limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Oppression continues until that one snap, that one straw that broke the camel's back. That final moment that you cannot continue to endure, where you are so agitated, you're so uncomfortable that you said, this is it. I can't take this anymore. And I'm not going to take this anymore. And this is how it's going to be from now on. I'm defining the reality now. Look at me. I'm the captain now, is what we got to say. Okay. So this is my ending. Again, I didn't really want this to be too long. I'm going to get into chapter 1 in my next video. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever. Please give it a thumbs up. If you give a history a thumbs down, or if you give this a thumbs down, you just hate me. Like, no cap, bro. I'm literally just saying what's in a book. How you going to thumbs down me talking about what's in a book? It's not even. Go ahead, thumbs it down if you want to. It ain't going to hurt me. But if you thumbs it up, thank you. I hope you guys have a blessed night. Peace.
Just waiting for the day that my people recognize revolution never end, just ain't televised. I'm just tired of asking, the answer always the same. Brothers want something to happen and we must step up for change. I'm tired. But we just playing the game and we don't know none of the rules. That's how we acquiesce, end up with less and look like some fools. I'm tired.
Tell him how you feel.